Hi guys, Piotr here, this is LiteFinance Global YouTube channel, and yes, we are going to discuss the scalping strategy, one of the scalping strategy I'm using from time to time. Now, why from time to time? Well, to be honest with you, if you are trying to scalp in the past, you already know how tough it is, how you are becoming very tired very quickly. So the thing is that when you are trying to scalp, you have to choose the right time to scalp. In my opinion, the beginning of the European session and the beginning of the US plus US cash session are the best to scalp. Well, there are plenty of different strategies. As you know, I'm not using any kind of the indicators, but I'm going to give you a hint how can you filter by yourself when it comes to the proper scalp setup. Of course, is fast and furious. So get in, get out as soon as you can with the proper money management in place. If you never did a scalp, please do your own research, do your own homework. There are strict rules you have to follow because we are going to trade with the very tight stop, and the series of losing trades is nothing extraordinary. You have to remember about that. That's the straight thing. And of course, when you do the scalp, in my opinion, you have to have your stop in place. So, how I'm doing the scalp, how I'm approaching this, I have to have my horizontal lines in place. Why? Because I'm purely trading the price action around the very important levels based on the daily chart. Now, if you are only trying to trade one pair, it could be that we might be in the middle of some range, and then you are not gonna be able to trade. Let's take into the consideration this euro dollar pair, right? So in my opinion, the very bottom green line over here was very, very important. Why? Because that was the supply when we were below, and that was the huge demand when we were above. So once we were around, so each and every day, as you can see, there was a lower shadows, and finally when we went higher during the retest, that was certain, I'm so certain there was a few trading opportunities when it comes to the scalping. But when we were somewhere in the middle of that range, probably you were not able to scalp that one. So that's why I encourage you to have few currency pairs. And now listen very carefully, not to trade all of them one day. No, choose the levels, choose the zones, and if we are very close when it comes to the particular currency pair to the particular supply or demand level, that's when you wanna scalp the particular currency pair, right? So you have to do your own analysis, you have to do your own research, and then you have to choose which particular currency pair you wanna trade around the London Open or US cash open, right? As you can see, I do have another important green line in my opinion, all right? because that represents those lower shadows, that represents this demand, that represents this breakdown over here, right? And that represents this weakness we've seen in October 2020. All right, the upper line over here, that's the supply based on this downside break. That's also represent this swing high over here. So plenty of things, explanations why I do have these lines, especially that for now both of them might be in use these days. That's the daily chart, and it's a beginning of August. All right, so you can try to look around for some kind of the setups. And as I mentioned, I'm trading without the indicators. All right, so for me the price action around the bottom of that green line, I'm looking for long setup. And if we are approaching the higher line, I'm looking for short setup, trying to fade the kind of the rally, right? Looks like lately we have some kind of the consolidation when it comes to the euro dollar. That could be even easier. But as I mentioned, I'm going to show you how you can filter these trades by yourself. So let's have a look what we have when it comes to this line and what I'm looking for. All right. So usually, if you do remember the previous videos, and I'm going to get back in the near future to that, I like to see some kind of the rally weakness where we are taking out the rallies, right? And sudden rally. Especially this type of the setup, I really love around the support, around the demand from the higher time frame. Why? Because that's going to be my latest weakness. That's where I'm going to look for the possibility to try to go long like this. When it comes to scalp, I like to have something between 3 to 5 pips stop, and I really love to have at least 3R reward ratio, meaning that I'm targeting 9 to 15 pips, right? That's gonna be big challenge. But once I have 2R, really I'm watching the market, trying to exit as soon as I can, unless the market is going straight in my direction. So with that being said, we know that this green line over here represents the demand. So any kind of the price action over here, right, I'm going to look for buying opportunity. All right, if you do remember, we were discussing failure of the head and shoulder formation. All right, so we have some kind of the head and shoulder formation over here, and if we are going to break that one to the upside, okay, in between the shoulder and the bottom is my eventually buying opportunity. As you can see, in that case, I would be stopped out, okay, because market went lower. Then, okay, then we have something bigger, which might looks like some kind of the head and shoulder, right? In that case, the price action around these levels, all right, is going to be my price action to try to go long. You might use the false breaks and trying to go in that direction. So we had some kind of the false break, and once we went higher above the weakness, that could be the stop buy with very tight stop. So 1, 2, 3, and that could be your solution. Of course, you have to have very tight stop. That's what LiteFinance is ensuring when it comes to the FX trading. And again, the same was here, false break, and 1, 2, 3, for example, like this, right? So that's pretty clear. Of course, we can get back a little bit and check and check the upper green line, right? So there was an attempt to rally, there was an attempt to move lower and higher high, then huge sell-off. So I do know right here, right now, that once we are going to, after this sell-off, that once we are going to retest that line, I'm going to try to look for selling opportunity, right? Because what I have here, I have my selling zone, right? I have something which might work as an unfinished head and shoulders. So I'm trying to trade neckline, I'm trying to trade the top of the left shoulder with the stop above. As you can see, there was a selling opportunity with 3R being done. Now, how can you filter by yourself? Well, for example, you may want to add moving average, right? You may want to add 200 moving average, right? In that case, you are going to be a little late because you know how the moving average is working. But if you have a clean direction and you are in the top of the range and you have your moving average going down, then you might want to try to trade this kind of the setups quite a different way. Once we are failing at the top of the moving average, that's the thing you are trying to take the advantage of, right? So you may want to use stochastic indicator. Whatever you have in your trading arsenal, that's when you are trying to add, trying to filter out, right? So with that being said, guys, again, because scalping is not for everyone, I strongly encourage you, do your own homework, do your own research before going this fast and furious. All the best, see you around, take care, and goodbye.